Well, welcome back to the Sports Back Talk with Boly and Ringer, and another week we survived.
Yeah, boy, those weekends fly by, don't they?
I was kind of hard to believe that it was another Monday. I don't know. It seemed like we're here, weren't we? Just taping the last one.
About a week ago, we were sitting around last night at the house. We had another taco feed. I don't know what tacos and Bolsteads do, but we've had two taco Sundays in the last 3 Sundays, and we got home about 8 o'clock to our home so we could watch the Wild and what have you. And Diane and I looked up at the clock, and it's 8 o'clock, and I couldn't have been 5 minutes later. We looked at the clock again; it was 9 o'clock. So it's like it seems Sundays just that hours just fly by. How about your house?
Yeah, I don't know exactly where the time does go. I was out and about last night as well. I went over and watched the Lakers last night. Nice 4-2 win in their game two.
I thought you remember the LA Lakers.
No, not the. They deserted Minnesota years ago. I gave up on those. They got nice colors, but
so they're in the playoffs now.
Playoffs over, playing English River. So I went over, took Eli over, and
nice.
we did that. Watched a little hockey. My first Lakers game this year. They struggled a little bit, but they got a win. That's what the
game.
Game 2, actually. They played on Friday night and they played on Sunday, so they lead 2-0 in the series, and they were the number 1 seed against the number 5 seed, actually. So
the Iron Rangers got knocked off.
The Iron Rangers did get knocked off in 5 games, so that's how that all works.
Cool. So what are we going to venture into today?
We might as well start with what we've started with. We might as well start with basketball Final Four.
Sure, we can do that.
We can start
Games
there.
in about 2 hours.
And the game isn't we're from where we're taping in about 2 hours. I will say this: I got to watch about 2 minutes of the 2 games on Saturday night. Did you watch?
You watched about a minute more than I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I zipped over the Villanova game first, and they were up by 30.
Yeah, I watched. Of course, Oklahoma was my pick. I'm gonna admit the bad things right now. I had Villanova, or I had Oklahoma, and boy, early on it looked like it was going to be a competitive game, and I was busy working someplace, and so I had it on my phone kind of on the side, and I looked down, and pretty soon it was 9, and it was 12, and then it was 14, and it was halftime, and I'm like, a lot of time. The next time I looked, they were in the midst of their 25-0 run. It was an 18-0 run at the time, and I'm like, this baby's over. And I don't know if Villanova can shoot like that again. They shot 71.4%, I read somewhere along the way. I don't think they can shoot like that again. They may have to shoot somewhere close to that to beat Carolina tonight, though.
Yeah, Carolina's got depth. They got defense. They got a big bench. They have the athletes. And they don't have a guy by the name of Bubba or Buddy whipping up threes from everywhere, and I thought that was an issue. I remember mentioning that on the show two weeks ago, that they just like chucking it up from everywhere, and it kind of came back to haunt them a little bit. But good games.
I was watching ESPN Saturday morning, I think, and they were talking with Jay Billis, Mr. Basketball now, and he was saying that the last time the Final Four was played in Houston 5 or 6 years ago, that it was the lowest shooting percentage ever for a Final Four. So they were very concerned about the sight lines at Houston, and then Villanova goes out and shoots 71.4%. Put that myth to bed, and but again, they're going to have to shoot that well. I hope they shoot that well tonight. I'd like to see Villanova win. I do not like North Carolina. I never have, ever since way back in the 80s when a certain team threw a certain ball to a certain opposite team in the '82 finals, and I just have never liked.
Georgetown game?
Yeah, you good. You very good on that. I was a Patrick Ewing fan at the time. I was 12 years old. What did I know?
Patrick never did win a title, did he? Never won an NBA crown either.
And so you got that against him. So anyway. When you're 12 years old and some guy comes out and he can like jump like over the top, and he was a superstar. Anyway, that's my North Carolina story. I know you're going with Carolina tonight.
Oh, absolutely. North Carolina's again. I've had them for a while. Basically the same makeup and same team from last year, and Marcus Page kind of leads that team, and they have the big 6'10" center who they can go down to the low post and score some points there, and should be a good game, though. I think Villanova can play with them, and then we'll see what happens to the Carolina team as far as possible suspensions or penalties from the NCAA for.
What is this for? I've missed something.
There's some scholastic things, I guess.
Academics? You mean like somebody's writing papers for somebody, or?
I would not know anything about that.
Okay. You're from Minnesota. We don't know anything about anybody writing
Exactly.
papers for anybody.
No, it's not good. But Roy Williams doesn't seem too concerned about it. He says they should be cleared of all accusations, and they're just there to play basketball out in Houston tonight. And I'm going to get home and watch that.
Rick Pitino said something about that about 4 or 5 months ago too. I don't think he's going to be able to run away from that. Anyway, another story
It's our
for another day.
basketball time.
You want to talk about women's basketball for tomorrow night? Can anybody beat UConn? Do you
No.
even follow it?
I don't want to talk about it. And what's the point?
What's the point?
UConn will win by 30.
Yeah, it's going to be.
No,
it's gonna
I'm
be-
not
Yeah,
sexist or anything. It's just
there's not much there to talk about.
And like the coach Ariama from Connecticut says, we apologize for being so much better than everybody else. Why does everybody else get better so they can compete with us?
That's kind of the whole double A. Isn't that the Hermantown argument?
No, don't. We're
Oh,
Done with the
that's the
Hermantown
Hermantown
thing.
argument.
Let's talk Wild.
Everybody, let's talk Wild.
Oh man, you want to talk about a disappointing team?
Talk
They went
about-
six in a row, just a teaser out there, and I actually jumped ship. And I actually was kind of saying, yeah, they're in, but the only reason they're going to get in is because the Colorado Avalanche are pathetic. I mean,
Yeah, I was.
Are you kidding me?
Did you watch NBC Sports Network after the Colorado game last
Yeah.
night? And they were
Jeremy-
talking. They went after him about even if they made the playoffs by some act of God, they wouldn't even be worth getting in. They look like they've packed it in. That's what they were saying on NBC Sports Network. I thought that was.
Yeah, and then Micheletti on KFan last night, a thing called fan line.
Okay.
After most, I'd say 75% of all Wild games, you can go on and listen to Pat Micheletti and Brandon Molesky, and they talk the Wild game previous, and people call in. And last night, Micheletti was hot. I mean, he was yelling over the radio. He says, how they can show up and play like that is beyond me. I don't care if they're in Winnipeg, and it's Winnipeg's last home game, and they had nothing to play for. The Wild had everything to play for, and they showed up, and some of the quotes, like from Suter saying, well, we just weren't ready. I mean, like, and Micheletti's right. How can't you be ready?
How can you not?
You
be
play
ready?
20 minutes a night. That's all you offer. 20 minutes of your life on a nightly basis. That's what you're given. Physically. Now, mentally, there's some preparation and things like that. But physically, if I could have 20 minutes for my job every day and got paid full wages, that would be a pretty good gig. Imagine going in for 20 minutes. Think about that. Well, I'll take it in 3 parts of 9. Well, 3 parts of 7. But so my point is you only play 20 minutes. Why not go 120% for those 20 minutes? Because that's all it is. Okay.
And you talked about it being the mental part of it. Is that I really think that's all it is right now. Is somebody needs to stand up in the locker room, and it usually should be the guy with the C and or the A on their chest.
It's not happening.
That should be standing up and making guys accountable right now. And it's frustrating to think that a week ago we sat here and it looked like we were in the midst of something, as you mentioned, a pretty good 6 straight wins, and then 3-2 losses. Those sometimes happen, those losses, but I thought last night's effort was what I saw in the third period was not even then when they got it to 2-1, and then Dumba gives up the old late defense.
All Suter was as faulty as Dumba there. And if you look back at the Wild over the last couple of weeks, whenever they do score a goal, it's always been within the next minute or two that the other team will come back and score again. So you should have momentum. The Wild instead sit back and try to play defense and defend that 1-goal lead or what have you. But the issue, Koivu could be the biggest issue with this team. He is not leading this team. There's obviously some issues. If you go to all the quotes and all the interviews after the game, he never gets interviewed. Okay, if I was captain, and again, I wasn't a very good captain. I just didn't have the personality or what have you. The Bruce Raboins and Robin Andersons that I played with, those were good captains because they could listen and they didn't speak before. They were good leaders.
That's why we're perfect for this show, right,
Michael?
Michael?
Good leader, but I wasn't a good captain. But being a good captain, he should have taken the players and said, "You guys sit down. I'm going out, and I'm the only one that's going to talk to the press tonight." after that 5-1 dismal performance, he should have said, "You guys stay here. I'm going out." Rumor has it this was going back all the way back when Yao was coaching. There's a big split amongst this team in groups of ages and who they hang out with. So rumor has it that's causing problems, a little angst in the locker room, some little petty jealousies, who's getting credit, who's not. So lots of good rumors, lots of good stuff flying around, lots of good trade stuff possibly coming up for this coming draft, if and when that happens. And I'm not going to mention the names right now because that would be unfair. Plus, I got to have some other thing to talk about in a future show. But the Wild were awful all last week. Ottawa hurt. This is a team that's going to be maybe 5 games in the playoffs against probably St. Louis or Dallas, it looks like. More likely Dallas. And that'll be 5 games, and they'll be done for the year, and they'll be out golfing. But I just can't. This team is not built for playoff run hockey anyways. They might be able to win a series here and a series there, but they are not built big enough, strong enough. I mean, they're like little Smurfs. I mean, if you look at that team, okay, they have to have the most guys under 5'10" in the NHL. Okay, most teams, I don't know if you ever watch a game and a team gets scored on, Colorado, for example, they'll send out McLeod, Mitchell, and Iginla. Okay, and they're out there to roughhouse and try to get the momentum back. Last night, the Wild threw their 4th line out, and it was Stahl, Fontaine, and Schrader. There ain't one of them that's over 5'9". Okay, maybe 5'10" at the best. Not one of them goes over 180.
And none of them are going to rough anybody up.
None of them are going to rough. So if that's a signal to change momentum, that's not happening. This is a big problem. They have more issues than they thought. The defense aren't as good as everybody thought. The young guys aren't as good as everybody thought. I've had it with them, and the only thing good about them is Bob Mason's the goalie coach. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I
I agree.
Anything to put on an NHL jersey, anything. Okay, and I have a lot of friends that got to wear them. Okay, I would not, if I got my chance, I would not go out there and go through the motions and not go 110% on every shift of a 20-minute game. Basically, my own individual 20-minute game.
It's kind of tough to try to flip the switch on and off during a game. It looks like to me sometimes that's what they're trying to get away with, for lack of a better term. You want to stick with hockey? You want to talk about the Frozen Four?
No.
You don't want to talk about Oh,
what are we in?
You want to pick? You want to pick who's going to win?
But what do we got?
We got Quinnipiac and BC Thursday.
Yeah, pretty good game actually.
two teams from out east. So who you want to take?
I like the tradition of Boston College. They've done this many times.
Goaltender.
The coach, Jerry York, one of the best in the business. Great goalie. They have the big forwards. I mean, this line, talk about big. I mean, this team's bigger than the Wild, this Boston College team. Okay, they line up 5'8" guys, 6'2", 6'3" apiece, 220. And I think physically they're just going to wear Quinnipiac down. And, I don't know why I said let's don't talk college hockey. It's actually going to be pretty cool stuff.
Denver, North Dakota is the other game. The Western semifinal, we'll call it.
Denver's been surprising. They got some skilled forwards. They got some good D. They're kind of a underappreciated, unassuming, under the radar type team. And seems every year whoever coaches them, whether it's Gosdecki or whomever, they always seem to be right in the hunt. They get those Western Canada kids coming up from or coming down from British Columbia and Saskatchewan and places like that. They do have 4 Minnesota kids on their team. So, however, I think North Dakota finally has a good goalie. Probably one of the tops in the nation. He's only a freshman. I do like North Dakota's speed and quickness, and they do have some gritty guys. And I'm going to go North Dakota BC final.
Okay,
what about you?
I'm going to go. I'll go BC as well, but I'm going to take Denver in a slight upset. You might say it might be anti-fighting Hawk, but I think I watched Denver play a couple weekends ago, and they've got something going on. I don't know if the 2 weeks off is going to hurt them, but I see a team that is got things going right now, is rolling, and they're going to put some pucks in the net against your good goalie, and he is a very good goalie. He's the best goalie in the NCHC now that Koski Suo left. and is not playing. Okay, I'll get that shot in. Anyway, I'll go with Denver, and then I'm going to go BC wins it in the final.
Okay, I'm going to North Dakota's finally going to break the jinx since, what's,
87? No.
1990?
90,
or
91?
2000? One of them. It's an even number at the beginning of some century or decade. It's either 1990 or 2000 last time North Dakota won, and they got a bunch of titles. And Burke's team, the University of North Dakota, is finally going to break through, get to that championship game, and win it all.
I'd be happy as long as somebody from the East doesn't win it, because it's been so long since the last time anybody from the West won it was UMD in 2011. So it's time.
Really?
It's time for somebody from the West to win it.
Schmidt,
I'll take Denver, North Dakota. I would have even taken the Gophers this year, just out of pure.
You would have?
I would have. I as much as that, whatever. As long as somebody from the West, Wisconsin, I don't care. It just. I'm sick of seeing the title go out east. I know that's where you played, and you've got some love in here or something for the East.
Also, Willie Korn signed with the Toronto Marlies, which was a pretty cool deal. He played his first game right away. I got a goofy number. I think he's like number 59.
59.
And I see Cameron Reese's out there too. Your goalie, I don't know if he did play.
Koski Sewell won on Friday night, did not play Saturday night. Willie, I'd see, was not in the lineup on Saturday night either.
He did not play Saturday. And then they also, Dominic Tornado, who was also, he's actually a draft pick of Toronto. He decided to stay a senior year, so he could have also, the whole UMD team could have just went out to Toronto and played for the Marlies.
Pretty much that's the way it was.
That's a good thing for Willie. Depending on however far he goes, he can always say he laced him up and played a professional hockey game.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see what will happen.
It's up to him. I mean, he's got to work hard and. It's basically you go out there.
He's living by 20 minutes. That's all he's got to do is work 20 minutes a day, right?
20 minutes. Well, some D can play longer, but it's up to him. He's got skill. He's got talent. Work hard. Enjoy your time and give it a shot. And don't look back.
Exactly. Don't leave anything to regret.
No.
Leave her all hanging out.
No.
So where you want to go next?
Let's talk golf a little bit.
You want to talk a little golf? That is actually the next thing that I have on my list. Very little on the Masters. I don't know. I seem to be not as interested. I mean, usually Masters week I was all psyched up, and I just seem to be in a lull. I don't know if it's just what it is.
I'll tell you what it is. You want to know what it is?
Please tell everybody what.
For a guy who's been hated for so many years because he was so doggone good. Tiger Woods, without him in the game, the game's lost its flair. I mean, he had personality on a golf course. Not a lot of them show personalities out there. They're all great guys, don't get me wrong, but I remember I got to grow up watching the Lanny Watkins and Craig Stadlers and the Walrus and Johnny Miller and Greg Norman and Nick Faldo, and these guys were entertaining. They wore their emotions on their sleeves. And now to me, I think most golfers have turned robotic. They all got the same swing, if you ever notice. There don't no Chi Rodriguez or Lee Trevino swings out there. Everybody's coached and they basically have to have the perfect golf swing. But to me, golf was always the most important thing was right here. And if you could mentally get your game together and swing that swing. Rick Anderson used to always tell me, Boly, he says, your swing isn't very good, but when you make contact with the ball, you're in the perfect position. Other than that, everything you did to get there and after you hit it is bad. He said, but when you're hitting, making contact, you're in perfect position. And to me, that should be what golf is. And it should still be a good tournament. There's some talented players. I mean, these guys are phenomenal.
I got 8 guys who I say have a chance to win.
Is that all?
The other 80, how many ever, might as well just go home now. Let's just put the 8 out there that have a chance to win.
I'm going to listen to these 8 and I'll
forget everybody else. There's three who have a good chance, and there's 5 who are
Is this guy for real? I mean, seriously. There's a crowd of 22 of you guys here, and this guy, we're going to hear what he has to say.
I'm going to give you the 3 who have a chance to win.
I thought you said you had
Well, I got 8. The 5s are kind of maybes. Jason Day, Adam Scott, Dustin Johnson. Those are your 3 head honchos. They got the best chance to win. And then the 5 are Rory McIlroy, Phil Mickelson, Louis Oosthuizen, Jordan Spieth, and Bubba Watson. Everybody else might as well go home. I don't care if you're playing. Just CBS and whoever else is showing this on TV, ESPN, just leave everybody else off. Show those 8. That's the tournament right there. And you said Tiger Woods isn't there, so we don't have to worry about him. So we're going to be watching Jordan Spieth and Bubba Watson. These are the 8 guys we're going to be watching. And
I can't argue with your picks. I could, but what good would it do? I mean, one thing to keep in mind about the Masters is people that have won it before always seem to show up on the leaderboard. A Carl Schwartzel, an Oosthuizen, like you mentioned, Angel Cabrera, Zach Johnson, Trevor Immelman. There's a bunch of them. Some are smaller hitters. Okay, Zach Johnson and Immelman, for example, and Justin Rose is kind of built like those two, so maybe he could crack it. He's been in there a few times, and so Fred Couples every year. He has
Couples just backed out today, not the whatever.
He did.
Just had back is bad, and so he just bowed out today. I saw late in the afternoon. So I said I could try to pick one of those, but like I said, you said I picked 8 and I got the whole field, so I got my bases covered.
Yeah, the Masters, like I said, is definitely a course that some old guys will come out and be. What do you say?
I don't know where you're going with this. I hate to say.
Usually be somebody. There's a word, and I'm just going to hand it on that. There's, yeah.
I know Sunday afternoon. I'll give you time to think about it. I know Sunday afternoon about 5 o'clock where I'm going to be at. I'm going to be in front of the TV. CBS is going to be on, and I'm going to be watching the end of the Masters. I know that's a given, no matter how this weekend shake out or how much I'm uninterested today or whatever. But by the time Sunday afternoon rolls around, I'll have had my whatever, and I'll be fully into it, and that's probably a good thing because that means I'm back on track or something here. I don't know.
Yeah, back in the day, I mean, even up until the last couple of years, I'd go down the Elks Thursday and Fridays from like whatever time to the last guy getting off the course, and we'd have a good old time there on Thursday, and then we'd meet up again Friday and do the same thing over, and then meet at another place on Saturday and watch all day there and golf, and then Sunday was recover time at the house.
And if you got to watch the final 18, that was a good thing?
Yeah, I'd watch the final 18, and coverage has opened up quite a bit. Remember back 15, 20, 25 years ago, they only showed the back 9 there, but they never showed 8 holes on the front 9. The old Masters kind of snobbiness thing, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but they just didn't want anybody to see their other 9 holes, and now they have opened it up, and they've gotten they've actually moved in a lot of good directions the last 10 years as far as allowing women on the course and things like that. They live in the old South rules, and that's what they did, and it's got a lot of tradition. It's probably the funnest tournament to watch as far as golf goes. Right?
I agree.
My winner, I'm taking Jordan Spieth. He is the best player in the world, and Rory McIlroy fans might argue that a little bit, but I just like Jordan Spieth. There's no choking him. He's steady Eddie, and he never gets nervous.
Jason Day, I'll pick one. I'm going to take Jason Day. He was the first one I wrote down. That's probably why.
Jason Day is not a bad pick. I mean,
it's a pretty safe pick.
Has he won a major? Yes, he won one last year.
He won the PGA last year.
But should be a good tournament. Everybody enjoy it. And where are we going now? Twins?
Sure, let's talk some Twins.
Or do you got anything else?
Well, I got a couple other things in case we were, had to fill. But
let's see, what do you got? And I'll tell you yes or no.
Okay, I got Rainy River Baseball. I want to say they won 3 out of 4 over the weekend. Hitting the ball fairly well. They got a couple nice kids. I'm waiting to see this team come home and play some when the weather finally turns nice, getting a chance to go out and watch the Rainy River baseball team. I'm also interested in going out and watching the Rainy River softball team, even though they had a tough weekend, lost a pair this weekend. Again, the Lakers, I talked about that. Bronco Track and Field is coming up. They got their second indoor meet tomorrow, and they got their first home meet is supposed to be next Thursday. Of course, next Thursday, April 14th, is a big day. Home softball opener, home baseball opener, and the track opener all on that day. If the weather allows us, Mother Nature decides she's gonna.
It seems like spring from winter sports to winter goes to spring, right? Yeah, winter to spring sports seem to be a lot easier transition.
Yeah.
You ever notice that? But fall to winter, it's like, swimming goes till like January, so, and football goes till November, Thanksgiving, and so all these 3-sport athletes, And then they whine and complain that there ain't no 3-sport athletes anymore. Well, how can you?
It's
Especially
definitely
the fall sports. They should start them in August, and they should also have high school golf in the fall.
That's a good point. I agree.
August, September, October sport, just for the fact that that way they've played all summer, and you're going to get the real true golfers that are in prime form instead of like up here. I mean, our kids might not see a green for a couple more 3 weeks.
Exactly.
So, anyways, that's
Bronco Athletic Hall of Fame coming up in 2 Saturdays on the 16th at the American, the induction ceremony for Kevin Constantine, Mike Manassa, Brandy Griffith, Airholtz, Bob Rompre, and the 1966 hockey team. So if you want to get tickets, City Drug, Espresso Lane High School, if you want to pick up tickets for those. I know I'm not supposed to be saying businesses, but I don't think I'm promoting them, just telling you where to go get tickets at. So
perfect.
Coming out for that. Let's see. You want to talk about the Warriors? They're 69-8 NBA. Are they going to Are they going to break the Bulls' record of 72?
How many games they got left?
They've played 77. They got 5 games left.
Well, yeah, they're going to break it.
Okay. Here's who they play now. Now that you said that they're going to break it,
they play the Wolves.
They play the Wolves, and then they play San Antonio twice and Memphis twice.
Yeah, they'll get it.
They'll get it. They got to beat San Antonio once.
San Antonio's probably going to play half their team one game and the other half the other game. They're just going to rest their players.
He says he doesn't want to talk about it, but he knows exactly what he's talking about.
Well,
I don't want to talk about it.
Think about NBA's. Think about that. To me, that is the most ridiculous sport. I mean, I got a kick last year, and this proved my whole point of why I will not watch it ever again, is there's big guys, right? There's big 6'10", 6'11" guys. They can't shoot foul shots. So every time they get the ball, they go foul them. You know, it's middle of the third quarter, middle of the fourth quarter. Well, odds he'll make one at best, so they're only going to get 1 point every time they get the basketball. So they sit there and foul them, and they haven't figured out a rule to prevent teams from doing that. I'm not a basketball guy. It's a pretty easy rule. Intentional foul, 2 shots of the ball. There, that'll end that. Okay, why don't we give them 5 more timeouts each in each half, too? My gosh. I mean, give me a break. It is. I mean, of all sports that need more timeouts is the NFL because it's entertaining, exciting, and fun. And you ever watch an NFL game where they ran out of timeouts and there's less than a minute left and they're trying to get down there, so they got to spike the ball, and there's just intensity and excitement and enthusiasm. NBA, they time out, the guys just lollygag back, and, well, what are you going to do this, coach? He just pulls the same blackboard out he just had out 2 seconds ago. He says, well, let's do this again. Okay, we throw it out, we shoot the ball, and we hope it goes in. If not, we turn around and play defense. It is the worst professional sport by far than anything else out there.
Okay.
And
the Warriors will win more than 72 games. That was...
Well, they're going to win the title. Who's going to beat them? Oh, then I hear today Jordan and Pippen are upset, saying the 96, is it? 96
team, yep.
Would have swept them, 4-love. I love when we all go
Pippen
back.
would have shut down
I'm
Curry.
as guilty of it as anybody. Yeah, going back and saying our team would have beat this team, and nobody cares.
Let's talk Twins.
All right.
I think that's the last thing I had on my list was the Twins. I think I got everything else in there that I wrote down. I guess so. Twins. We talked a little bit about it last week. Right at the end of the show, we got a question from the crowd, and we kind of gave our 6 cents worth. Well, game 1 of the season started right in the middle of it when we went on the air. It was 0-0. I believe going into the bottom of the 5th inning. So we question whether the pitching is going to be there. And what do you think about the pitching for the Twins?
Pitching, very suspect. Irvin Santana looked a little shaky, or sounded a little shaky. I was listening on the radio. And he only pitched.
I was very surprised that he was the opening day starter. That made me very nervous about where the Twins pitching staff is at. Sorry.
Well, he is their number one. I mean, who are you going to put? Phil Hughes. Then you got Kyle Gibson. They're both very good. I think the Barrio guy is their future number 1. They're being real careful with him. Trying to keep him in the minors 1 more year so he doesn't use up another contract year. So Barrios is our number one pitcher in the future. But right now we have our top three is Irvin Santana. Kyle Gibson's was supposed to pitch on Wednesday. Not sure what's going to happen there now because of what happened today. I'm guessing he's still there, and Hughes is going to start the next series. And then we got Tommy Malone, who has had a great spring, and he's a solid lefty. He's our only lefty starter, so you got to probably have one. And then the big fight between, well, not actually a fight. Tyler Duffy.
Don't get him any ideas.
Duffy, and then Nolasco. They give it to Nolasco based on what, $16 million a year.
Well, and May's been in there. Yeah, or Malone, excuse me, has been down in the.
And I think it's better if Duffy starts down in the minors. Anyways, he's going to get about 4 or 5 starts in April. And it's going to be better for him because if you remember, a 5th start in the major leagues at the beginning of the year, there's more off days in April than any other month in the year. And plus, you got to take into account weather conditions. We're going to have some rain outs, some snow outs, some sleet outs, and what have you. So April, there'll be a lot of off days. Nolasco might only see 1 or 2 games starting wise, and then we'll go from there. But the pitching's, I mean, if you look at it, the stats aren't bad. Irvin Santana last year, 7-5 with a 4.0 ERA. Gibson 11-11, Phil Hughes 11-9. So they're all right around 500 with ERAs right around 4. Tommy Malone 3.95. He actually had a 9-5 record. So Nolasco 5-2, but he had a 6.75. So I think the batters, when they see him pitch, and they go, "Boy, we better get some runs today because we got Ricky pitching."
Okay, are they going to score any runs?
They should, but watching today, beginning of the season, definitely advantage pitchers, but they should. Buxton, not quite sure. He's batting 9th. The batting order right now, you got Dozier leading off, good leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Last year, 28 home runs, 79 RBIs. I think he had 25 of them at the All-Star break and only hit 3 or 4 after that.
Correct.
Then you got, what do you think of Joe Mauer? He'll be batting 2nd, 10 home runs.
Well, for what we're paying Joe, we're not getting our money's worth. But that's
figure that out this year.
Is he going to figure that out?
No, did you just?
Oh no! I've known that for a few years. That's my disappointment. I understand why Molitor has to put him in the 2 spot. I understand all this other stuff, but he hit 293 in the spring. I mean, you're not facing the starters. You're facing wannabes. You're facing guys who are trying to make it to the majors, and he only batted 293. Can we trade him?
10 home. You can't trade him.
We can't.
Well, if you look at it, his contract was similar to many other players that signed with the Vikings. They're set up perfectly. If you remember right, the Yankees wanted him. And the Twins, Carl Pohlad was basically forced that he had to sign him, otherwise there was going to be repercussions by the fan base, and they ended up signing him to like a 10-year, $21 million a year contract or what have you. But then he was a catcher, and he was batting 3rd, and he was hitting 25, 27 home runs, and he was driving in 100 runs.
And he was batting 340.
And he's batting 3. Nobody was a better hitter than that guy.
Yep.
And now they're saying concussion symptoms were still there even last year. So
was he wearing the sunglasses today?
He's wearing the sunglasses. That seems to be helping. But boy, maybe he should have did that last year.
I said this last year, and I'll say it again. And I don't know if it has anything to do with it. And I saw it a little bit down the stretch. It doesn't look like he's having any fun. And one of the things I think about baseball is you got to go out there and you got to have a little fun. If you're out there and if it's a job, I can see why you'd be unhappy at baseball if it's a job. But if it's supposed to be some fun, and to see Joe smile on the field, I mean, you better take a picture of it when you see it. And that, I think, is part of the issue. He's not having any fun playing right now. It's work. It's a job.
Isn't that just his personality, though, Ringer? Or do you think there's more to it?
I think there's more to it. I think he's putting too much pressure on himself. I think he needs just to go out there and be like he was when he was 25 years old and get out there and play ball like you when you loved it. And I don't know if he loves it anymore. And that can happen from a guy who was the superstar from the time he was probably 7 years old. He was the star of the team, getting recruited. He was a star quarterback. He played in the state basketball tournament. I remember all-star catcher, blah, blah, blah. And maybe I just think that he's lost the love for it, and when that happens, it's tough to go to work every day. And I think that's part of Joe's problem, and I hope someday soon he breaks out of it. I would love to see him be the player he was, but I don't know if we're ever going to see it again.
Well, he'll never be that rah player. I mean, he's not going to be like a Dozier. Or
all I want to see him when he comes out of the dugout, I want him to have him smile on it. When he gets a base hit, I want to see him turn around, and whoever the first base coach is, rather than just giving him the knucks or the hand slap or the high five and handing him his gloves or whatever Joe does, because whatever, I want to see him turn around and smile at the guy and say, hey, that felt great, and smile about it. That's all I'm asking. That's what I want to see Joe do. I just don't. I think it's a mundane job for him right now, and playing baseball shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, so Joe, if you're watching tonight,
from Baltimore on YouTube,
think about Ringer.
Listen to what I'm telling you.
Think about what Ringer just said, and fake smile.
Yeah, do something. Make me feel better about myself. At least I can go home and sleep tonight. How about Sano?
You got the big fella. He's batting third, Miguel Sano. There's been publications of some sports writers and saying he could lead the American League in home runs this year. He had 18 last year and a half a season. Good hitter, good contact hitter.
Let's hope there's no sophomore jinx. I'm afraid of it, and I think if there is a sophomore jinx, they're going to blame it on playing in right field. Yeah. That's part of the issue. I'm not sure it was the right choice, but he had to be in the lineup somewhere. He had to be out in the field with Park coming from South Korea. He had to go somewhere. And the powers that be decided that leaving Plouffe at third base and putting Sano in right field for now is the right choice. I hope it works out. Yeah,
and then speaking of Plouffe, he'll bat in fourth, 22 home runs, 86 RBIs last year. He will remain at third. Plouffe used to play all over the place, remember, right, when he first came up. And I thought the easier solution would have been moving Plouffe out to right. But what this tells me is Sano is not as good a third baseman as Plouffe. And you do need a quality third baseman.
And you can't base it on one game. I did watch Sano play in Class A ball 4 or 5 years ago, I'm going to guess, when he was playing in Beloit in southern Wisconsin. And he did have an interesting day at third base. He hit the heck out of the ball, but he had an interesting day at third base. So, but he was only 19 at the time or 18 at the time, and how sometimes things can get away from you.
Byung-ho Park, the big fella from Korea, 54 home runs, 298 RBIs or whatever he got. I think he's a little better than the last guy we brought over. And that
I hope so. I hope things work out. I hope that it was kind of funny. I was reading in the paper the other day that when he played in Washington on Friday, it was the first time he'd ever been in a Major League Baseball park. And you start thinking, okay, the guy was in Korea all his life. That makes sense. But he's 30 years old. You would think that maybe one of the things that they would have done with the guy is brought him to a Major League Baseball park, but I guess not. I guess that's just not something that happens. So I certainly hope for the Twins' sake that he, even if I keep thinking about Rob Deere. You remember Rob Deere?
Yeah, I remember
Rob Deere would hit 40, 45 home runs, but he'd strike out 200 times. I don't know if I can handle him striking out 200 times, but I'd love to see him hit 40 home runs, and if that meant 200 strikeouts for this year, I would take it.
Absolutely. And again, it's going to be fun to watch him. The big thing with him and Sano, and of course the guy we'll talk about next, Buxton, is fastballs are not an issue. It's hitting Uncle Charlie as that thing drops off the table and it looks like a fastball, and all of a sudden it curls down to your ankles and you're looking like an idiot for swinging at it.
Yeah.
Buxton, I think, is going to continue struggling a little bit at the plate. I'm trying to figure out, he's 22 now, and he's still the best prospect, or second best now in baseball, and I guess it's done time being a prospect and time to be
I agree,
one of the guys. And if you look at Bryce Harper and the guy that Trout from the Angels, these guys were doing it at 18, 19, 20 years old, and I think it's times for Buxton to step up. And
we've had a lot of these over the years, these center fielders that are going to be the next
we have them in every part of our professional organization.
Well, and I think that's how you keep these guys going. That's how you keep ticket sales. Oh, this guy's coming, this guy's coming. I agree with you. Buxton needs to show up, and he can't bat $1.95 this year. That just can't pass. He's got to get 2.5, 250, 260, 270. He's got to get on base so he can steal bases. If the Twins will let him steal bases. And there's the other thing that I don't know if the cybermetrics and everything else tell you that you should be stealing bases or whatever else. You got to get Buxton on base, and you got to give him the Ricky Henderson treatment. He's going to get on base, and he's going to give you the hand signals, and let's get him going. I'm going to go watch him if I can watch him have a chance to steal third base. Something. Make it exciting. Let him get out there, and if he gets thrown out a couple of times, big deal. But he's going to have that pitcher thinking, and the pitcher is going to be throwing meat pitches over, and somebody's going to take advantage of it. And I think that's the biggest thing that Buxton can get. But he's got to have an on-base percentage better than what it was.
Yeah, you got to be close to 300 at least, and nothing worse. And again, you got a manager, Paul Molitor, who liked to steal a few bases here and there, and I've looked at Paul Molitor as being an aggressive manager, but again, analytics plays such a big part of baseball, and with the American League thriving so much on power and hitting her out, you hate to give out outs too. So, how about the bullpen?
Bullpen, I tell you, I'm a little scared. I don't know. I don't know if there's. I like Jepson. I hope that Glenn Perkins is back. I hope. And I don't know. I haven't seen him pitch this spring, but I hope he's back. I hope he's got that old pop. You could see something definitely happen right in the middle of the season. He was cruising along. Everything was going good, and then the hip or the back or whatever was causing him issues, and it's something that, well, we just talked about Freddie Couples. Once you get a bad back and you're an athlete, sometimes things don't come back the way you'd like them to.
Yeah, I don't have a bad back, but I can't get back to where I used to be. No way.
Wow.
But you got Jepson. He'll be the setup man now, and he did a great job closing. So if Perk has some struggles, you got Jepson there. Our only left-hander down there is a guy by the name of Fernando Abad.
Yeah.
He's our left-handed. I don't know what he is. I guess who's the little fella that threw last year? Just a little guy.
You're gonna test me. That's yeah. I don't know.
I've had a lot of these tonight. A lot of delays. A lot of non-words.
All I know is Abad has pitched for 3 teams over the last 5 years. That means he's a journeyman. And
what about Kontz? Neil Kontz? Why did they bring him back? I thought he had some good stuff. And
yeah, I don't.
You got who's the Trevor May down there, and I think he still wants to be a starter. But geez, I liked him in the bullpen last year, right?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he does a good job there. And again, I think Abad, the only lefty, along with Perkins in the bullpen. So I think every bullpen you got to have a lefty, and we might only see Abad. We might see him 85 times during the season in 162 games, but we might only see him pitch to 1 batter per game. I mean, that might all we're going to get from him. And then these other guys, I know when I was coming here, I was listening. They had brought Fien in to pitch, and Santana had only pitched the 2 innings, and then who did they say came in? I don't even remember who they said pitched the 3rd and 4th innings, and then they brought Fien in for the 5th. So with the 2 rain delays and everything, they were trying to work things together. And like you said, they don't play again till Wednesday, and it's supposed to be colder than on Wednesday. So they're even concerned about the game on Wednesday. So that could allow the coaching staff to get a little creative. Maybe some of these guys pitch an inning and kind of treat it like a spring training game, which at this time of the year, a lot of times that's the way things are. So
okay, let's go back real brief before we head out of here. Again, we're at Looney's Brew tonight. Another great crowd. This place is a rocking. They had their great evening last night. Again, I can't get into specifics. Again, remind you though to come on down here and check the place out. This place is going to be hopping and a cool place to be this summer. Okay.
Next week we're taping a little later. Even though I may. The track meet may not go on Monday due to weather. We'll stay late. We're going to tape about 8 o'clock next week.
So we'll be hanging with the Barflies.
So come on out
awesome.
and have a little fun. Give us some questions. Give us something to stump us about, because we already stumped ourselves enough tonight. If that isn't bad enough, but
you got I got North Dakota. You got
BC.
BC winning it all. I got North Carolina. You got
Villanova.
I have the Wild 5 games and done in the playoffs.
I'll go along with that. I think we're gonna finally agree on the Wild. I think they back into the playoffs. I don't know if they win another game the rest of the way. I would hope that they would win one just to kind of go off on the right way. But I agree with you. One series, whether they get Dallas or St. Louis, unless something Radical Hapkins.
Yeah, it was a different team last year. You could feel it last year. Right? They had a shot. Then you got Day. I have Spieth. Do you like the NBA? I don't.
I didn't. I never said that. I never said I liked the NBA.
How many wins for the Twins this year? We'll end it right here.
How many wins for the Twins?
Yeah.
You said something last week.
Over under about 86.
You said 86 last week, and I kind of like that number. It's going to be above 500. I am going to go. I'm going to say they're going to make a run at the playoffs. 88 wins. And they may not make the playoffs with that. I don't know. We'll see.
88 be tough. I mean, I remember the 87 teams made it with that, but a little different now. Excuse me, nowadays. But I got them at about 84. 84. So they'll be a little bit above 500, but I just think the pitching's questionable, too questionable, especially in the American League with all those big teams.
They're going to make it. It's going to make it interesting, just like they did last fall. I think. I don't know if they'll finish it off if they'll have enough stuff going on, but I think they'll make it fun like they did last year. Keep us interested till about the last week, and then hopefully they can make a run. You want to pick a winner for the American League and National League right off the top?
Yeah, I could pick a winner as well as anybody.
Okay.
I like Washington, the Nationals. A pretty disappointing year last year. I like them coming back out on the East Coast, and coming from the West, the California LA Angels are going to make a return visit.
Wow.
I think they got good pitching. They're young. They're excited, and the Royals are tough to repeat. So, and then winning it all will be the Nationals.
Okay, I'll take the Royals, and it's an even year, so I'll take the Giants just because I know nothing about the National League, but I'll take the Giants because it's an even year, and I'll take the Royals to repeat.
Good.
I think
it's not a bad thing.
Last night I watched them play the Mets in the World Series rematch, and they got out to a lead, and then had to hang on, scratching and clawing to hang in there. But that's what good teams do. Championship teams do that.
Yeah. And if you like the show, do us a favor. Show up next Monday, 8 o'clock. Show up at the Old Woody's Pub, Looney's Brew. Show up here and sit in the audience and have some fun, a little participation. It's a good time. Join us. It's a lot of fun, and the more people here, the better me and Ringer do.
Right. Sports Back Talk with Boly and Ringer. We'll see you next week.
Take care.